It's
No,
okay.
no.
No. Come here. It's okay. They're going to check in. We'll give him right back to
I
you.
can't. I promised him I wouldn't let him go.
I will give him right back to you. Okay? But you got to promise me. Okay? You got to promise me. Okay? I'll give him to you, and that you can promise me you go to the hospital with me and him. You'll ride with him in an ambulance. We'll take you to the hospital.
And I really don't want to have to forcibly remove him from you, but if that's the case, I will do that and you will go to jail. So you have one option at this point. You need to give him to the EMT and you can go on your merry way with your friends and your family who's out there.
That's not merry at all.
Or I remove him from you and you go to jail. You need to make that decision. You need to make it now, please.
I won't let him go.
Okay. Go ahead and jump out of the way for me. Okay, please let him go so he does not get hurt, okay?
Hey guys, this is the story of how staff at St. Luke's Hospital in Boise, Idaho kidnapped a baby. Just kidding, guys. Kidnapping is illegal. These people are so powerful that they've managed to legalize their crimes. So they're not really crimes anymore, I guess. So every state has their different statutes that define what exactly kidnapping is. But in general, kidnapping is defined as removing or confining an individual against their will without the legal authority to do so. So how do you get the legal authority to kidnap somebody? Well, first you start out with a lot of money. Then you lobby politicians and legislators to write laws saying that what you're doing is legal. And throughout history, legislation has been used to convince good people to go against their conscience and say silly things like, well, we gotta do what the law says. These people have held different names, such as slave catchers, redcoats, Nazis, and today they call it the blue line. The crazy thing is that the majority of citizens throughout history have just allowed these people to do evil things and even supported them in it because they say, well, they wrote it on paper that they're allowed to do it and called it legislation. If you don't like it, vote harder to change the law. But this particular case of legalized kidnapping goes way farther than most, because in this particular case, people actually stood up, exposed what was going on, and got the baby returned to the family. Then after the baby was returned to the parents and more information came out about what actually happened, it started becoming questionable whether this was even a legalized kidnapping or if they possibly even violated the legislation to commit this one. And now St. Luke's Hospital is suing those who are speaking out for $7.5 million, which to me looks like another way of saying if you stand up for your friends, your family, and neighbors and do the right thing, we'll use our multi-million-dollar corporation to destroy your life and take everything that you have, while using the mainstream media to gaslight the world with comments like this.
The president and CEO of St. Luke's, Chris Roth, issued a statement saying it is important for us to stand up to the bullying, intimidation, and disruption and the self-serving and menacing actions of these individuals.
The story of how this all began is best told by the YouTube channel Adoptions Simplified, so I'm going to go ahead and let her tell the beginning.
CPS has done it again. They medically kidnapped a baby in Idaho. So here's the story. Baby Cyrus was exclusively breastfed by his mom, Madison, until about 7.5 months old when she started introducing solid foods. And when she started doing that, the baby started throwing up. So of course, she tried to figure out what was wrong with the baby, took him from doctor to doctor, from specialist to specialist, and no one could figure out what was wrong with the baby. The baby even got hospitalized at one point, so the hospital could do lab tests on him to try to figure out what is it that was causing this baby to throw up all these foods that mom was trying to introduce. And they could find nothing. The hospital even told the mom, this is the healthiest baby that I've ever seen. So they discharged the baby with his parents on a Friday, and they were supposed to follow up with the functional medicine of Idaho that following Monday, okay? So they went on Monday to the functional medicine of Idaho. They did the visit and they reviewed the baby and everything looked fine. And so they scheduled another visit for that Thursday, okay? Well, the Wednesday, baby started throwing up again. And so, when they took him to the functional medicine of Idaho that Thursday, the nurse did a weight check and they realized that he had lost, I think it was like 1.23 ounces or something. So then the nurse ordered that they come back the very next day, that Friday, so that she could do a weight check. I'm guessing just to make sure that he wasn't losing too much. Well, the following day, when she was supposed to go back, mom wakes up and she is not feeling well. So she calls functional medicine of Idaho and she says to them, I am sick, I'm not feeling well, let's cancel the appointment. And so that's what happened. So then the hospital tried to call her, the functional medicine of Idaho tried to call her back, but she was sleeping when they called. So on March 11th, 2022, at about 10:20 in the morning, the nurse practitioner from functional medicine of Idaho calls CPS. CPS reaches out to the mom by text, and then they send 2 police cars out to her house. And they demand that her and her husband and the baby go over to the Center for Victims of Abuse. Well, the father of the baby says, no, I'm not going, okay? So after mom started feeling better, she thought about talking to a family friend who used to be a police officer, because she was so just rattled by the fact that these police officers came to her house and asking to escort her to the place for victims of abuse. So her and her husband and, the family, they go over to the family friends who used to be a police officer, and they have dinner with them. And when they leave the house and they start going home, they realize that the truck is being followed by the police. So they stop at a gas station, the police stops them there, and then the police basically demands that mom lets baby go. So here's what happened at the police station.
For what reason are you arresting him?
Guys,
For what
they're
reason
trying
are
to take
you
baby
arresting
Cyrus
him?
from us. My husband's getting arrested.
No, I'm not moving. For what reason? What crime did I commit? 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 No, do you know? You cannot.
No, Miranda, let them. Miranda.
I'm getting out. Let me get out. Hang on. I will step out.
Out of the car!
Try to get out of the car.
Dad, it's okay. Dad, it's okay. For felony injury to child? That's not my child.
That's not your child?
Yeah, well, you should know how to do your job better.
Is that your child?
I'm not answering the
Okay,
question.
you're under arrest. All right, you just step out of it.
Hey
You need
guys.
the baby, okay?
No, I can't. Can you please help me right now? You don't understand. I'm a desperate mom right now. I really need your help right now.
Talk to
We're
me.
only here to ensure for yourself.
Talk to me, okay?
Okay.
What are you desperate about? What do you need?
All right. I can't be separated from him. I can't.
Okay.
I didn't do anything wrong. I know I didn't do anything wrong.
Here's the deal.
This was a very big
Why have you not
miscommunication.
taken him to the doctor today?
I woke up not feeling well, and I didn't think it would be a problem to miss an
Okay.
appointment. I've
But
done
you
that
know
before.
that we've been looking for you guys all day.
I have
Right.
a reason to explain all that stuff.
Okay. We'll give you that opportunity, okay?
Please
Well, we're going
don't
to take
him from
him
me.
to the
No.
hospital. And if you
No.
want to go, you can
Can
come
I
along.
ride with him,
Yes,
please?
you can. Okay. We'll get an ambulance here to transport you. Okay? So what I want you to do, though, is give me him. I'll let him back to you. I'll give him right back to you.
You promise me you won't let him
But
out of my
these guys are
sight?
going to make sure that you don't have any weapons.
promise?
I
I
will
promise
stay
that-
right here with him, with you.
Not out of my sight.
I will do that.
Okay.
But they're going to make sure you don't have any weapons or anything like that.
I
You
know.
understand?
All right.
What's your name?
I can't let him go.
I will stand right here with you. I promise.
You have to take him from me. I can't.
Okay. It's okay.
No.
No. Come here. It's okay. They're going to check me. They will give him right back to
I
you.
can't.
will
I
give
promised
him
him I wouldn't let him go.
I will give him right back to you. Okay? But you got to promise me. Okay? You got to promise me. Okay? I'll give him to you, and that you can promise me you go to the hospital with me and him. You'll ride with him in an ambulance. We'll take you to the hospital. Okay? You too. We're worried about him. Make sure he's okay.
I
So
know.
come with us, okay? And let's take him to the hospital and get that checked out. Okay?
Please don't take him.
I won't take him. I'll stand right here with you.
Can I hold him while you do what you have to do?
No, because they gotta check you really quick, okay?
Can they check me while I'm holding
Not
him?
with holding because
Please.
I don't want you to drop. I will stand
No, I
right
know
here
they can
with
do
you.
it. I know they can do it. Please don't let me let go of him.
Come on.
Okay.
Okay, put your phone down so that you can hold him.
Watch your step too. Don't.
I'm just kidding. Right here, please. I'm filming.
I know you're feeling this perfectly fine.
Where you can go with him. It's right here.
There'll be a shelter care hearing, okay, on Tuesday. And that's a hearing that's a hearing you're gonna wanna go to, okay? The shelter care hearing
Who makes this decision?
will be at 1 o'clock p.m.
Do you know who makes this decision?
Makes what decision?
That he has to go in the state's custody.
Well, we have,
You have?
based on what the doctors have told us.
So right there, the police tells him the whole reason they've been surrounded by men with guns, her husband's been arrested, and her baby is being taken is because of something that the doctors at St. Luke's Hospital told them.
We have.
You have?
Based on what the doctors have told us.
I can't, please.
Okay? We go off of what all the information we can get from doctors and all
I
that. Okay?
can't. I'm not going to leave him. I'm not.
This is how it's gonna go, okay?
No, do you understand? He's my baby. I'm not going to leave him.
Marissa, I'm trying to explain this to you, okay? So there will be a shelter care hearing on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Okay? And you're gonna want to attend that.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's what your part of this is. Okay? That's your next step in this. We have nobody wants to take people's children away from them. We want to get the child back to you in a healthy state. No. We want to make sure that kid is healthy. We want to get these kids healthy. Sometimes what are we doing?
Oh, it's streaming.
Oh, you're just live streaming?
Yeah.
Okay.
So listen, here's my thing. I understand you want to get him better. Why can't I be with him while you're doing the medical work? How am I in danger to him if I'm just watching and I'm with him?
Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and go with just what I just told you, okay?
So you're gonna take him? No.
This
can't.
is what we're going to do, okay? So this is your copy. You're going to want this.
I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not going to leave him.
Well, this is how it's going to be, okay?
I can't leave him.
Thank you. All right. So, Marissa, I need you to hand over the baby to the EMT.
I won't.
Marissa, I really
Can you
don't
please help
want
me
you to
out?
go to jail tonight.
I don't.
But I'm telling you, if you don't allow this to happen, you're going to jail.
For how long?
That's not up to me. But you will be placed under arrest if you do not comply with what we're asking you to comply with. So if you could please hand him over so he doesn't have any further harm for us having to try and take him away from
I
you.
promise him I won't let him go.
And I understand that, and you'll have a chance to get him back at some point, okay? This state's all about reunification, but right now,
they're not.
we need to move this. Okay? And I really don't want to have to forcibly remove him from you, but if that's the case, I will do that and you will go to jail. So you have one option at this point. You need to give him to the EMT, and you can go on your merry way with your friends and your family who's out there.
That's not Mary at all.
Or I remove him from you and you go to jail. You need to make that decision. You need to make it now, please.
I won't let him go.
Okay. Go ahead and jump out of the way for me. Okay, please let him go so he does not get hurt, okay? Come here, little buddy.
Marissa, I promise I'll take good care of him.
You promise?
I promise I will take good care of him. Okay?
Meridian police took baby Cyrus to St. Luke's Hospital in Meridian, Idaho, where he was checked out and determined to be in good health. But instead of being returned to his parents the following day, he was transferred to St. Luke's in Boise, Idaho. So little did the police or the hospital know that the parents of this particular baby were members of a group called People's Rights. People often ask me, if you don't like police, then who are you going to call when you need help? Well, for 65,000 members of People's Rights, the answer is they'll contact their neighbors. With an increase in rights violations, police abuse, and overall government overreach, People's Rights is essentially a network to help you get together with local people in your area to stand up for each other. The call went out over People's Rights, and the next day, over 400 people showed up at St. Luke's to demand the release of baby Cyrus.
I think it's 100% wrong. I think it's a Waco for Idaho. I think they way overstepped their grounds. We need to stand up against this tyranny and do what's right for the family and for our future generations.
As a mother is horrified. They just kidnap children.
This mama doesn't co-parent with the government.
And if Idahoans don't believe this could happen to them, then they haven't been paying attention.
I am totally opposed to what's happening. I as a legislator would definitely be behind this family 110%. I would make sure that we would be doing everything possible to help the family get that baby back. The longer that baby is not in their hands, the worse the situation becomes.
There are a lot of things that are in question. You know, you've got an unelected bureaucratic agency like CPS. You've got the healthcare industry, which is healthcare tyranny, and then you have have the ability for them to be able to, that CPS can just tell the cops what to do, take a child out of the mother's hands, and everybody thinks that that's okay. It's absolutely not okay. At some point, we're all going to have to be able to, we're going to have to draw a line in that sand.
You know, if you want to be an armchair activist and sit at home and say, Diego loves attention, or Ammon loves getting arrested and loves attention, that's you being complacent, not wanting to face what's really happening out here to our liberty. So why don't you stop complaining and stop name calling and get your butt out here with us and stand for freedom?
Any person is going to protect the child, and this is abuse, government abuse, stealing babies from parents. This is unacceptable.
YouTuber Garth Gaylord posted these videos showing what the protests actually looked like. Men, women, and children gathering together peacefully to protest something that they believe is wrong. At no point in any of the videos posted either by YouTubers or even by mainstream media do we ever see protesters blocking driveways or trying to interfere with business in any way. After 6 or 7 days of protesting, the baby was finally released back to his parents. But the story certainly doesn't end there. One of the days during the protests, in an attempt to look like the victims, St. Luke's put the hospital on lockdown for 2 hours. Then St. Luke's decided to sue both People's Rights, the owner of People's Rights, and the grandfather of baby Cyrus.
Idaho's largest healthcare provider says they will not be intimidated by bullies. Our top story tonight, St. Luke's Health System suing Ammon Bundy, among others, after protests in March led to a lockdown. That lawsuit seeks $50,000 for what they call the coordinated campaign of harassment and intimidation against the hospital. If the hospital system wins, St. Luke says they'll donate the money to CARES, or the Children at Risk Evaluation Service. Now, these protests surrounded the case of a child taken into medical custody in March because doctors were worried about his health. Bundy and many of his followers protested outside of the hospital, forcing authorities to put the facility on lockdown. The president and CEO of St. Luke's, Chris Roth, issued a statement saying it is important for us to stand up to the bullying, intimidation, and disruption and the self-serving and menacing actions of these individuals for the protection of our employees and patients and to ensure our ability to serve our community. And we have requested comment from both St. Luke's and Ammon Bundy, but have not yet heard back. Bundy is joined by Diego Rodriguez, Freedom Man Press, People's Rights Network, and Freedom Man PAC as defendants on the suit.
So the grandfather of baby Cyrus operates a webpage called freedomman.org and also a YouTube channel called Freedom Man. For all the details about this incident, including videos, photos, documents, and much more pertaining to this is the website to go to. But as Diego continued to gather new information about what happened and post the information on his website and on YouTube, the St. Luke's attorneys continued to amend their legal complaint, claiming more and more damages as more and more details of what really happened came out, including official documents from St. Luke's stating that baby Cyrus was never in imminent danger, which is the requirement in order for CPS to be able to take children from home. So how did we go from friends, family, and neighbors peacefully protesting to have a baby reunited with his parents to the government going after Ammon Bundy again? Well, Ammon Bundy is the one who started People's Rights, the organization that people used to get in contact with each other and rally hundreds of protesters until the baby was released. Since St. Luke's CEO Chris Roth is super big mad that the community peacefully stood up and got the baby returned, he sued the organizations that were used as a mechanism to get it done. Clearly, this organization, the People's Rights, is a threat to tyranny, and since nobody broke any laws, the government couldn't retaliate with arrests. So Chris Roth and St. Luke's decided to retaliate with a bogus lawsuit in what appears to be an attempt to destroy people's rights and what Chris Roth sees as the ringleaders in fighting for parents' rights. So after the lawsuit was filed, Ammon Bundy made a strategic, informed decision not to respond to the lawsuit. No, seriously, but stick with me, it makes sense. So when you refuse to respond or answer to a lawsuit, the judge is supposed to enter a default judgment in favor of the plaintiff. His reasoning was that St. Luke's had spent an estimated $500,000 to file probably hundreds of thousands of papers in court that would take him at least $500,000 in attorney's fees to respond to. At the time that he made this decision, they were demanding $300,000, which split between Bundy and Diego would be $150,000 each. Therefore, they could save both time and money by allowing a default judgment to be entered rather than even going and defending themselves. But instead of entering the default judgment, the judge kept the case open for almost a year, allowing St. Luke's to amend the complaint 4 times, increasing their demands to where it's at now, $7.5 million, before the judge finally entered the default judgment. Even still, even as wrong as this all is, Ammon Bundy says, okay, you've made a judgment against me. You can take everything that I own and I won't try to resist you. So even though Ammon has agreed to give them everything that he owns, the St. Luke's attorneys and Chris Roth still want Ammon dragged into civil court on a case that's already been ruled on. As a matter of fact, they've convinced the judge to put out a criminal warrant for Ammon Bundy for not showing up to these civil proceedings. A judge putting out a criminal warrant for somebody refusing to show up for civil proceedings is unprecedented. It's never happened in the United States before. But Ammon Bundy has already spent 2 years of his life in prison, one of those years in solitary confinement, with no bond, simply awaiting trial in cases that he was never even convicted of anything on. He says that he will not willingly go back and have his liberty taken like that again. But with all the crap that St. Luke's, Chris Roth, and others have tried to throw into this to dirty it up, it's still only about one thing. It's about baby Cyrus being stripped from wonderful, caring, amazing parents in an attempt to put him into foster care. It's about a bunch of people peacefully exercising their First Amendment rights to protest and to redress government for grievances. It's about exposing every single person involved in this disgusting process of stripping kids from good homes, which also includes employees of St. Luke's who caused this to happen, who are specifically called out on Diego's website. Anyone who's ever had their child stripped from them by CPS knows that it's a horrifying experience, and there is little to no remedy for the situation. If Chris Roth, the CEO of St. Luke's, can spend $500,000 to shut these people up, you better believe he can spend enough money to shut you up. This has been going on for a long time, and no one of us has the power to fight it. But I do believe that if we all stand together against this, we can continue to make progress. And we can send a message to St. Luke's and Chris Roth that we will not be bullied, and we will not be intimidated, and we will not have our children ripped from our homes anymore. I put a link below to the Freedom Man website. Go there and check out all the details about this entire story, as well as to get more information about what CPS and the foster care system is doing in the US with the help of a lot of healthcare professionals. Also, head over to peoplesrights.org and sign up. It gives you a ton of resources for you to be able to network with the neighbors in your area so that you can work together and stand up together against tyranny. The resources provided by People's Rights Network can be a huge asset to each and every one of us in our own communities. But besides that, how super big mad do you think St. Luke's, Chris Roth, and CPS would be if the People's Rights Network membership skyrocketed as a direct result of them spending $500,000 to try to shut the People's Rights Network up? And I leave you with this statement that I may or may not have plagiarized from Chris Roth. It is important for us to stand up to the bullying, intimidation, and disruption, and the self-serving and menacing actions of these individuals, including Chris Roth, St. Luke's Hospital, CPS, the foster care system, and everyone who helps them strip children from good homes. You see, Chris Roth, you are the one who is harming innocent people who haven't harmed anybody else. You are the one who has spent $500,000 to try to bully and silence those who have spoken out. And I'm here to tell you that you can take everything from every one of us, but we will not be bullied and we will not shut up. And you can try to get your filthy judge to put a gag order on every single one of us. But the Streisand effect is already working. The harder you work towards trying to silence all of us, the more people become interested in why you're trying to silence us.